Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer!
The following hour of programming may include material that you personally find objectionable. I personally am okay with that. I hear things I don't like all the time. If they make me think about whatever was said enough, I might actually start a conversation with someone about it. And then, because of the conversation, the initial thing that upset me might actually lead to insights that I didn't have before. Or I'll have just found a sympathetic shoulder. Regardless, you will have expanded your mind by listening to This Week in Science, coming up next.
I was like, oh, we changed the theme song.
What happened to the music? Which song is it?
Those are the two links.
No, really? It should be track 1.
Let me
01. That was the false start.
Although we can keep that.
But it'll all be edited later into perfection.
The computer is being very unresponsive.
Tom's got it.
I've got it. It's play
be
intro
at the
music here.
Yeah,
Traffic.
well, the computer will not. Okay, let's see.
Okay.
Wait, let me see. I can. Well, let me try this different computer here.
I got the kind of mind I can't
So you can do the This Week in Science coming up next.
Okay, you have it's track 1. Track 01 is the .mp3. Okay. We got it. We got it. Bravo.
I don't know what's going on with this computer, but so do you want to cue it the way you would normally do, and then we'll start the music?
Okay. Awesome. By listening to This Week in Science, coming up next.
I've got the kind of mind I can't get enough. I want to learn everything. I want to fill it all up with new discoveries that happen every day of the week. There's only one place to go to find the knowledge I seek. I want to know what's happening. What's happening? What's happening this week in science? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening this week in science?
Good day, Kirsten. God, I even said your name wrong. I suck. I'm out of here.
No, you have to stay. We have a whole hour of this. Happy Thursday. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of This Week in Science. Today, we have another great episode. I'm so excited. On this week's show, we have Tom Merritt.
Hey.
Hi.
What's up? What am I doing here?
What are
Where's
you-
Justin?
I don't know where he is. He's somewhere camping, maybe?
Oh,
Camping.
camping. Right.
That's what the kids call it these days.
I don't even know what it is,
I know.
but that's what they call it.
That's what this story will tell everybody. Yeah, so Justin's not here today. Tom Merritt is sitting in the chair of Justin Power.
Wow, it's coursing through me. I feel comments about advertising, biofilms, and Bernaise sauce coming on.
Yeah, and probably something about like bacteria or something.
Yes.
Yeah, the bacteria controlling your brain. There's
Super
usually
bugs.
usually something like that. Well, today we have more of that stuff, so you'll have plenty of opportunities. I brought stories today because there's lots of science news out there about saving the bees through communication.
Save the bees.
That's right. Visually challenged bugs, or maybe not,
Or bugs.
and some oil-loving bacteria. What did you bring, Justin?
Well, did I need to bring stories? Yeah, no, I've got weird stories about water. One, making electricity from water. Thought it was neutral, didn't you? Think again. Also, dry water.
What?
Yeah.
That's just
Just
I've heard of
powdery
dry wells.
powdery water, that what you can do with it. And then what else I think oh yeah, electrocuting people to simulate space flights.
That's going to be a fun story.
When double hand transplant. Don't forget double hand transplant.
Double complete hand transplant.
Yeah.
Oh, man. This show is going great places. I'm so excited, and I hope everyone out there is as well. So let's get it started off with a bang. Thank you. Good sound effect. In a galaxy far, far away, Right. Well, maybe not a galaxy, maybe more like a solar system.
Mm.
And it's, I guess, kind of far away, but not really far away. It's like 127 light years, something like that.
That's, relatively speaking, get it nearby.
Yeah. Anyway, astronomers have found a solar system with lots of planets, 5 to 7 planets.
5 to 7.
Wait.
We got 8.
I know.
9, depending on how you count them.
Exactly. So is it like our own? Is it like the Sol system?
Are these planets that we could go and like live on and hang out and...
That's a good question. I don't know if they know that yet for sure. They think some of them are gas giants. So like Uranus, or Neptune.
Gas giants like Uranus. That's what you just said.
Yes, I did. Or Neptune. And they have found and verified that at least one is a small rocky planet.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know, that's maybe about almost half as big, 40% bigger than the Earth.
And these are not found by transit. You might read a lot of times about planets being discovered because you see them occlude the sun as they pass in front of it. But these were found a different way, right? They were found by the effect they have on on the preset. Was it on the precession? I can't remember. But it's not the blocking of the sun. It's
on the wobble.
The wobble.
Maybe the wobble of the light from the sun.
Yeah. And that's why it's 5 to 7, because some of them, they're like, that wobble could be from just magnetic stuff, or it might be a planet. We're not sure.
Yeah, but I think it's neat that they so far have been able to actually verify at least 3 of the planets, if not more, that they've got, okay, there's a small rocky one that's probably inside the larger gas giants. And because of the way that everything looks, they're able to kind of
sell real estate.
Exactly. That's right. Your next home, 127 light years away. They use the European Southern Observatory in Chile that has a 3.6 meter reflecting telescope that was used to collect the data over 6 years. And they just announced this research at an colloquium on extrasolar planets in Provence, France.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Whole solar system. Not just a planet.
Solar system.
Whole freaking solar system.
I know. This is so exciting. One of the, somebody who is not involved in the study, in the discovery, this is from an AP story. It says, the really nice thing about finding systems like this is that it shows that there are many more out there. Mother Nature really had fun making planets. And so I think that gets into the...
Do we have evidence of that? That she had fun? Or was it a job? Was it just like a freelance thing?
It could have just been a job.
Contract. You know what? Somebody made planets, I made planets. I'm done. It's not really a lot of fun.
But it gets to the idea that we can now, if we find solar systems like this that are similar in some ways to our own, we can observe them from afar, kind of look at them with that perspective that maybe somebody else studying our own solar system might look at where we live. Maybe we can get insight into how our solar system developed, into all sorts of things about our home that we wouldn't be able to get because we're so, we're locked into the view that we have.
I figured it out. It relies on a type of observation called radial velocity measurements. They track Doppler shifts in a star's light spectrum as it moves closer or farther away from an observer. So they can reveal the presence of unseen planets because the gravitational influence produces patterns of motion in the star's position where they should be periodically, the same. Because the planets are tugging on them, they get a little different.
Oh, interesting.
And that's and so it's not blocking the light; it's just kind of changing the Doppler. So and the fact that they can measure that is impressive.
From a ground-based telescope, no less. I mean, this isn't like something that's out in space. This isn't one of those space-based telescopes. This is something here on.
Yeah, 2,400 meters above sea level, but still on the ground. The High Accuracy Radial Velocity Planet Searcher, or HARPS.
Harps.
Because they're up near the angel. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting story, and I think it's the first of probably many more to come. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that we start finding more and more solar systems similar to our own as our technology advances, as we start, just getting better and better at knowing what to look for. And then, maybe the next one we find won't be 127 light years away. Maybe it'll be a little bit closer.
Yeah, and instead of the rocky planet being a 50th of the distance between the sun and the Earth, which is kind of hot. Kind of close.
Yeah.
Maybe it would be more in that sweet spot for the water and the life and all that stuff. Although I'm not unconvinced that...
Are you a fingers crossed kind of person, or are you...
if we could look at everything, we'd find it.
Right.
For sure. It's just I'm a fingers crossed that will happen upon one. Definitely. And I'm not convinced you won't find life outside of the sweet spot. That there might be life that's, figured out how to replicate and move around in some other way than our carbon-based hydrocentric point of view.
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt it. It's just that there's just so much life on our planet. And so it's... bacterial life, no problem. But in terms of more complex life, I don't know that would necessarily being outside of the sweet. It does.
It all depends, because once you get it, the hard part's getting it going.
Compounds, yeah.
Once you get it going, you can do lots with it.
True.
It's really, really tough. You need a beaker, some enzymes,
or just mushrooms in a closet. I don't know. Though crazy things grow in refrigerators and closets. I don't know that you need all that lab equipment.
That's very
true. What did you bring?
Were we going to talk about Neptune though?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Don't forget Neptune.
I was just running on.
It spent all this time getting to the end of its first orbit. We have to at least give it a nod.
Props, Neptune. Props. You made it around the sun. One time. Well,
one time since we've been watching.
Exactly. Which is, I think, really awesome discovery that we have been watching Neptune since, what year? 1846, when we first discovered it, when it was starting to make transit or across the sun. So it was...
Right. So we were talking about the transit effect. That's how they discovered Neptune?
I think so. I believe it was.
They were just looking at the sun and like, what is that spot?
No. Let's see.
It's Neptune.
I was
really. Why would you call that Neptune?
What's that spot out there? Yeah, I was jumping to a conclusion, and I did read this article. I promise I read this article earlier. I like the trans. I like the.
In the Phantom Toll Booth. What happens when you jump to a conclusion? You end up in the water.
In the water.
And you get yourself all wet.
Dope. I'm all wet. Anyway, Neptune making its first orbit since 1846 when we discovered it. It's almost completed. Opposition in 1846 also fell on August 20th. So it's when it's in opposition to us. Being
a long year.
Yeah, the planet is exactly opposite the sun in the sky. So that's what opposition is. It's exactly opposite the sun in the sky, and it's going to be at its highest in the sky at local midnight. So that was, earlier this week. It already passed, but you can still probably check Neptune out if you have a nice telescope.
It'll look like a blue-green star. Mm-hmm. Did you hear the crap going around about how Mars is going to be as big as the moon? By the way, that's not true if you heard that.
I don't know why people are telling...
Because it's on a really close approach.
Yeah.
So Mars is going to be very close, and it'll be bright, but it's not going to look anything like the moon. It's going to look like a big bright star.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that happens now that we have email, though. Somebody's like, Mars is getting really close. It's going to be huge. Really? As big as the moon? Oh, I'm going to tell everybody that. Boom. All of a sudden, urban legend. That's how it happens.
And it's over.
All right. So, yes, I do have something. Harnessing electricity from the atmosphere. This is what I was talking about with getting electricity out of water. Group of chemists from the University of Campinas in Brazil presented research on Wednesday claiming they figured out how electricity is formed and released in the atmosphere, and they think they can harness it. They found that silica became more negatively charged when high levels of water vapor are present, and they found that aluminum phosphate became more positively charged in high humidity. They call it hygroelectricity, not hydro, but hygro with a G. Discovery could go against the commonly held belief or theory among scientists that water is electroneutral. But Gallenbeck, what's his first name? Fernando Gallenbeck. Says that he does not dispute the principle of electroneutrality in theory, but he thinks real-life substances like water might have ion imbalances or, something else that allows it to produce a charge.
I wonder. I mean, water itself is polar. So you have the actual ions that are in the water molecules
right.
that you are positive or negative. So you have the positive hydrogen atoms and the negative oxygen. And then if there is some kind of slight imbalance, or maybe as they're connected together to create droplets, maybe there are also some ionized particles that are there, and maybe that's how the actual imbalance occurs.
Yeah, I think that's what he's pointing to. That would make sense, is that you get just a little bit of residual electricity, and then you could build a hydroelectrical panel that would capture atmospheric electricity that could be transferred into energy use. So you could have a solar panel for the sunny days, and then a hydroelectric panel for the foggy, humid days.
Right.
And then
just suck the energy out of the air.
You're powering all the time. They also said it could drain the area around a building to prevent atmospheric discharge during storms, so no more lightning strikes.
That would be pretty
instead
neat.
Instead of a lightning rod, you'd have a hydroelectric panel.
And I wonder, and if you could drain the electricity out of there, no more lightning strikes, and also you're generating electricity potentially.
Yeah, exactly. They said they have a long way to go, obviously, before doing that, but this is where the theory, or this is where the discovery is pointing.
Right, and where the idea is coming from. I love the idea of it. In the article that we were talking about, just has this wonderful image of the Eiffel Tower, like sucking down lightning, and
it was funny.
It is very Tesla-esque.
I read this story, a much drier presentation of it on Technology Review, the MIT site, and then I saw this afternoon these, Scientists Work to Harness Lightning for Electricity by Candace Lombardi on CNET. And I sent it off. I was like, ooh, here's another one. And then when I went to read it, I was like, oh, wait, it's the same story. They just put a cooler graphic on the top of it. But.
Yep, it's all in the graphic. It grabs you.
Yep.
It grabs you. In other news, Gulf news, they're fixing things. Things are potentially fixing up, and there's some evidence. People were talking about the idea that there are these oil-eating bacteria, and maybe we could seed the Gulf with them.
Sprinkle them out there, let them chow down, no more oil.
Right. Why don't we do that? Well,
Makes sense.
It turns out some researchers at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab here in Berkeley reported in Science Express that they took some samples from a plume of oil in the Gulf about 1 week after the spill started. It's not a spill. It's not a spill. The accident.
Leak.
The leak. The really big leak happened.
Yeah, you're right. It's not a spill or a leak because it's coming out of the ground. It's like we just let it out. I guess it's a leak. It's a leak out of the earth.
Yes. Don't open the earth.
It says, don't open the earth. Why did you open the earth?
Why did you do that?
The mole men will be so upset.
Oh, man. Now I'm going to start having tick flashbacks. Cartoon. Anyway, microbes were found in the plume. So they compared the plume water with not pristine but close by water that wasn't in the plume, and they found a huge amount of oil-consuming, oil-eating bacteria.
Now that's handy.
They were just there.
Well, this is what I've always said.
Nobody says they sprinkled them around.
Earth will take care of itself. It may wipe us out of the existence in the process, but the Earth will rebalance itself.
The Earth abides. That's right. And so they thought, based on how many bacteria there were, what the concentration of this species, they don't actually know what the species is. It's a new species that's closely related to members of the Oceanospirales, I believe, and it thrives in cold water. Temperatures in the deep recorded at 5 degrees Celsius. They think that it would change the half-life of the oil in the Gulf water from anywhere from 6 to 1 day. So that Yeah, that the bacteria could potentially actually be breaking it down that quickly.
So, do we dare encourage that? Cultivate,
right.
Add some more bacteria, try to speed things up?
Right. Well, I think that's the question, because you add more, and what are the waste products these bacteria are giving off? They're obviously eating the oil, but what else is it getting left behind?
Right. And so there were some concerns that if you put bacteria eating up oil, that it would eat up all the oxygen in the water and cause an anaerobic condition.
Dead zones.
Yeah, really bad dead zone. But these bacteria seem to use relatively little oxygen.
Yeah, and they're actually found in oxygen-poor areas as it is.
Which I thought the theory that they might have grown up eating oil just seeping out of the ocean floor was pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
And now they're like, feast! Oh my, look at that! It's more food than I've ever seen.
Celebrate.
Yeah. It's Christmas for bacteria.
That's right. Yeah, so these I think it's fascinating. They don't know exactly how long they're going to last, how long the oil is going to last in the water for sure. This study was a month after the leak started, and there's a lot of time that has progressed since then. So that there's this time that science takes to take place, and so we're actually behind in the monitoring of this. So I don't know, but it's a really interesting development when everyone thinks all is lost and there's just going to be oil everywhere. Maybe there's a little silver lining there somewhere.
Yeah, I would be interested to know if it's had an effect, like without us interfering at all, if it's had an effect on how much oil is still out there. If somebody does a measurement, I'm sure somebody has. I'd be interested to know what that is. Like, we expected it to be here. Did the bacteria have an effect and make it less? How much less, if they did? Because they're on our side. We're cheering for the bacteria now.
We're rooting.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, and those numbers are still to come. Still to come. We will find things out. I know. What did you have about dry water? Oh, yeah, I'm still on the water thing. Everything's about water this week for me. But io9.com had an article about dry water. Now, this isn't new. Dry water has actually been around for a while, though I had not heard of it. It's a silica compound, so it's 95% water, but it has a layer of silica coating each droplet so that it actually comes out as a powder. And it's not just like wet sand. It's like a powder. Because each droplet is probably so small that the surface area just is mostly powder, so that's what you feel. You blend together, if you would like to make some, take hydrophobic silica and water, blend at 19,000 RPM for 90 seconds. That seems to coat the water droplets completely, and serve. And serve. And then you have dry water. Serve cold. Yeah, this dry water stuff, it's not new, though. It's been around for a long time. It was first discovered in the late 60s. But what they're doing with it now, researchers at University of Liverpool have been working on new applications indicating it could be used for things like storing and transporting methane, speeding up the reaction between hydrogen gas and malic acid to produce succinic acid, which is used to make drugs and food ingredients and consumer products. So the dry liquid could act as a nice storage, a safe storage for certain chemicals and products that you then centrifuge to speed the two apart, add an alcoholic solvent, and boom, you get all your methane back, get all your enzymes back. Right. So then you potentially, instead of having a gas tanker going down the highway that could explode at the slightest impact, maybe it's a little less dangerous. Right, because you make hydrates out of the gas, for instance, and so it's just a dry product instead of a big leak that just spurts off into the air. Much easier to contain and clean up. Yep. Yeah. So dry water. I'll have my water dry. Thank you. I like a dry water. That's not very refreshing. A lot of silica. I don't know how. Yeah, I don't think that would be very tasty. No, but they said if you store a gas in dry water as a hydrate, all you have to do to release it is warm it up.
because then it melts the hydrate, and then your gas escapes.
Yeah, and it goes directly from that hydrate form to the gas form.
Yeah, and all you got left is dry water.
And you could probably use it again.
Yeah.
So it's a reusable material. It's not a toxic material. It sounds, I mean, aside from the fact that it will add steps to any kind of production or transportation process that don't necessarily have those steps right now, potentially on the good side adds safety and, I guess, safety.
Look around in your cosmetics cabinet, too. You may have some dry water because that's been its main use up till now.
In my cosmetics. I probably have a ton in my little makeup bag that I bring here every week.
You're full of dry water.
Just put it on.
Just heat that stuff up and release the methane. Wait, no, they're probably not storing any methane in the cosmetics.
No, and I think that was the Kraken. Not
Release the methane.
Exactly. All right, moving into HIV and proteins. Did you know that in 2004, researchers discovered a protein in rhesus monkeys that protects them from HIV?
In 2004, they discovered this.
In 2004.
This sounds
they
vaguely
discovered
familiar,
this.
something about rhesus monkeys and AIDS, but do tell. Tell me more.
Yes, yeah. So rhesus monkeys, they don't get HIV. They'll get simian SIV, this simian immunodeficiency virus, but they don't get human immunodeficiency virus. What keeps them from getting it? And so the rhesus monkeys...
Well, they're not humans. Why would they get that?
Right. Well, it's a specialized...
But you're saying other simians
why not
might
simians?
get
And if
HIVs.
it's if they're all if they're related, I mean, we're pretty related to simians in the evolutionary scope of things.
We're similar.
We're similar to simians. We are. And if we're that similar, why wouldn't we, either get SIV or they get HIV? What's the difference? What's going on? And they found that there's this protein called TRIM5A. One protein that actually destroys HIV.
Really?
Yeah. Destroys it and protects the rhesus monkey. So they don't get the HIV.
So
And they don't come down with AIDS.
can we have this protein, please?
That's the thing that we're trying to work on. So it's like, why are you talking about something that happened in 2004? Well, in the September 15th issue of the journal Virology, that is available online if you're interested, they have found, they've been looking at this protein and they've found some of the, what they call key components of the protein that allow it to destroy HIV. So allow it to actually act in a way that that destroys it. And so the idea is that if they can identify combinations of amino acids or specific amino acids or protein amino acids within the protein, that they'll be able to genetically re-engineer or engineer TRIM5A in a way to make it effective in people.
So this is important because HIV virus is a tricky little devil. It is hard for a macrophage to wrap its maw about.
Yeah.
It just it slips away. It does.
Yeah.
It looks like something that's totally harmless. It masquerades.
It totally masquerades. The body doesn't necessarily know what to do with it. And they've actually found, it hides everywhere. And I think there was a study that was out recently that was looking into, it's saying that there are like all sorts of different ways that it can actually get into semen in the first place. And so sometimes it might be there and other times it might not.
That's frightening.
It's just like, what?
Yeah.
Why are you so unpredictable? Yeah. So it's a tricky virus, and it's something that it's causing. It's a huge epidemic around the globe, and I guess that would be pandemic.
Pandemic.
Pandemic. That's right. One of those words that Justin would yell at. Wow, it's not a pandemic. Blah blah blah. Yeah. So it's really exciting that they're looking into this protein in this way, and it will potentially, get it down the road. And these researchers have identified 6 individual amino acids that are located in what they call a previously little studied region.
So,
the protein.
Potentially these amino acids would help prevent the virus from being able to access the cell wall, right?
Right.
You'd stop them from being able to attach and fool their way in.
Yep.
It's like giving the bouncer a list of fake IDs to watch for.
Yep.
Like, because that's what the HIV does. It just shows, yeah, I'm totally not a virus. Let me in.
But if the bouncer knows,
Yep.
get out. Get out.
Get out of my cell membrane.
And
don't come back.
Bounce you out, HIV. That's right. We got time more.
Mine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Efficient LED light bulbs. They're awesome, right?
Yes.
You can watt the wattage of a 60-watt incandescent bulb can be done for 7 watts. It's gonna save all kinds of energy, right? Trick question, you knew that. Journal of Physics
That's why I'm
D
keeping
Applied
quiet.
Physics says no. The problem is not in LEDs though. The problem is in the monkeys using them.
That would be us.
Because what happens is we're like, oh, LED, 7 watts of power instead of 60 watts. That's great. That means I can use 8 of these, and I will.
I will find more places to put them.
They don't think we have reached yet saturation in lighting, that we're still not lighting parts of our world that we would light otherwise if we didn't have to spend so much wattage. So what LED does is allows us to spend just as much wattage. And they advocate in this article, it's a perspective article, it's not a research article, but they advocate raising the price of power as the only way to really reduce consumption. Because if you just change how much energy something uses, we're like, hey, I can still afford to spend $100 a month on my power bill. Where else can I use some power?
Right. Or possibly it'll be the kind of situation where currently people they know to turn off lights. You know, it's been, just smacked into you since you were a child. Turn off the light when you leave a room. Make sure you close doors, blah, 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 all those things. But maybe if it's LED lights, people will say, oh, that's not that big a deal. Just leave the light on.
Yeah, you leave the lights on and you don't get that whopping power bill that makes you go, oh, we need to remember to turn that light off. It's like, oh, we can leave that light on. Not a problem. In fact, let's put one out in the yard because it's kind of dark out there when I go to pick up after the dogs. And, hey, you know what? It's really dark in the garage in that corner and there might be spiders. So let's put a light over there, too, so I can make sure there aren't any spiders.
I need a light for the spiders. The light will keep the
I
spiders
don't know. I might
away.
step on a black widow if I'm not, we need a light over there.
Yeah, good logic. Good logic.
I didn't say it was logic.
The human mind. The things we can come up with to rationalize anything.
But that's what they're saying we'll do, is that we'll come up with all of these excuses because it doesn't cost anymore. And so they're saying, you know what, we're only going to reduce consumption by raising prices. Once people feel it in their pocketbook, then they start turning off the lights, then they shut down the PS3 and don't just let it spin all night long and, figure out ways to conserve.
Yeah. I turn off my computers at night because I really hate those little blue lights that shine. And it's like, why does that light in my office? It's that little blue, the computer light.
I took one of those little moleskin things that they give you to clean off your gadgets, and I draped it over the blue light.
It will cover you up.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I left the PS3 on, the Sony PS3 on one month. Forgot to turn it off.
Did it significantly change your electricity
bill? It kills your electric bill.
Wow.
Because it's just constantly spinning, and it's a power hog. So
wow.
If you don't turn I didn't turn it off at the back. I just shut it down.
Right.
So it still had standby power going, but when it was not on standby, it was a hog. And that's totally what this guy's talking about. When it hit me in the pocketbook, I'm like, turn that PS3 off when you're done with it.
That's right.
Yeah.
It hurt my wallet. Now I will hurt you, PS3.
I will hurt you. But then I will love you and turn you on and play games on you later.
Okay, it'll be fun. It'll be lots of fun. All right, I'm going to throw in one quick story, and then we're going to head to our break. Colony collapse disorder has been an issue with honeybees, killing off millions of bees across the country. It's been a huge problem that beekeepers have been trying to deal with. A lot of it has been blamed on issues related to the varroa mite, which is a pest that gets into the hives, and the bees don't clean themselves off, and the mite ends up affecting their immune system, and they end up not doing so well, dying.
Yeah, that's not doing well.
That's not doing so well.
The dying part.
The dying, yeah. So anyway, there's this researcher, Ron Hoskins, who he basically did a crossbreeding experiment where he had a whole bunch of bees in his colony, and
thought you were going to say bonnet.
bees in his bonnet. No, bees in his colony, and he crossbred them and kept an eye on different behaviors that they were doing. He ended up finding one group of bees that started grooming each other. And so those grooming bees, he ended up spreading
metrosexual bees.
Yes, they have great hair. It's awesome. they're so pretty.
The pretty bees are the only ones worth living.
So pretty. I love the well-groomed bee, and so do other bees, but the varroa mite doesn't necessarily do so well in those colonies because once they start cleaning each other, they're getting the varroa mite off, and they're getting rid of this pest that normally would take over. And so he's starting to try and spread his mutual grooming bees around the world to try and see if it'll help against CCD.
So what you do is you take these bees and you introduce them to other colonies, and it's kind of like Queer Eye for the mited bees. They come in and they're like, you people are disgusting. You're full of mites. Look at you. How do you live like this? And then they just start grooming, and everybody's
but you'll look so nice. And why don't we put a vase over here?
Is there a rise in vases coincidence with this? No, this is good though. Like, could this solve the disappearing bee problem?
It could. It could solve the disappearing bee problem because one thing they've been trying to figure out with the use of pesticides, the varroa mite has become resistant to most pesticides, so its numbers are increasing as a result. And the bees don't clean themselves usually to get rid of the mite, so it's, they're just hoping that this might be the thing to be able to help out to stop CCD. Maybe all the bees need is a little helping hand.
Little grooming hand.
Little grooming hand.
Don't try grooming the bees yourself, though. Leave it to the expert bees.
That's right. All right, that's it for this first half of This Week in Science. We will be right back with more Tom Merritt on This Week in Science. Stay tuned.
First thing to expect us when Homo turns erectus would be the use of tools, and next comes prejudice, and the next thing I think we'll see with increased mental capacity would be the use of laws and decrees designed take freedoms away from you and me. We got a world to kill. We got a mind to fill. Where there's will, I guess there's way. There's not much else to say.
Twis would like to thank Audible.com for sponsoring this episode of This Week in Science. Audible.com is a leading provider of audiobooks with over 75,000 different titles in a variety of genres. Twis has found many science-based books in the Audible library. So why don't you take our pick of the week, for example. It's Primates and Philosophers, How Morality Evolved by Franz de Waal. You can start a free trial today and get the Twis pick of the week or any other audiobook download for free. Totally free. All you have to do is sign up at audiblepodcast.com/Twis. And by signing up with Audible and downloading Primates and Philosophers, How Morality Evolved by Franz de Waal for free, you'll also be getting a head start. Well, no, you're not going to get a head start. You'll be getting some supplemental information to the Twis Book Club Book of the Month for August. Yeah, it's related, very related. I couldn't find the exact book of the month. They didn't have it in the library.
So this is like more on this subject?
More on the subject.
Expand your horizons.
Yes, exactly. So go to audiblepodcast.com/Twis now for your free download.
Now, audiobook's perfect for that, right? Because you may be like, oh, I'm going to read the main thing, but I don't have time to read something else. Well, now you do, because you got the audiobook, and you can just put it on when you're in the car, on the train, and just kind of fill in the gaps.
That's right.
I like it.
Audiobook to fill in the gaps. It's good when you don't have podcasts to listen to, of course.
Right. Once you're done with this.
Right. And also, I'd like to remind you that you can join in the Twis Book Club conversations whenever you want right now, if you would like to, at the Twis website, twis.org. We are no longer housing our book club at Ning because they started asking for subscription fees, and they don't really make enough money to...
We moved Sword and Laser, too.
Yeah. It's just not going to happen there anymore. It was a great thing while it lasted, but, come to twis.org and just look for the book of the month in the announcements section, and there'll be a post there about the book of the month. Our book of the month right now is Good Natured, The Origins of Right and Wrong in Humans and Other Animals by Franz de Waal. He's a primatologist, and in the book he considers the evidence for moral behavior in other animals and its implications for human nature. Is morality biological or cultural? Dun, dun, dun. That's right. That's
Bum, bum.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So twist.org, we're going to be doing book club stuff there at the website for the time being, and I think it's time to go back to the show.
Too close or not, we'll see if we need more of you and me. Though overpopulation just happens to be the last thing I think we need. See, science is a double-edged blade at best. Oh, I embrace it, not one to protest. When a computer beats...
Welcome back. We are listening to This Week in Science. I'm Dr. Kiki.
I'm Tom Merritt.
Yeah, and we've got more science for you. So Memristors is a topic that I just love. Every time there's a Memristor story.
I'm a big Memristor fanboy, too.
Yeah, I'm a fangirl.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. But every time there's a Memristor story, I'm like, okay, I will cut other stories to be able to talk about this one. And now Memristors are getting even more interesting in my book. Researchers at the University of Tehran in Iran have been looking at memristors in a way that they think might be able to model synapses.
Well, this makes perfect sense to me because memristors are that fourth way of transistors, which aren't just on or off. They have variable resistance, right?
Yes.
So they have that's where the mem comes from. They can remember the last voltage that passed through them.
Right.
That makes sense when you think about how synapses work, where it's not an on-off, it's not a logic gate up there. There's all kinds of things that can help them to continue to fire or not to fire.
Right. Or if they have, if they are stimulated at any point in time, they may stimulate in a way that is dependent on how they've been stimulated previously because of whatever stored information is there.
There's a lot of work on psychopharmaceuticals that says that the reason they work is because they stop the neurons from doing what they've been always doing. They kind of reset them.
Right. Yeah. So this, I think, is really exciting. I mean, as they start developing uses for memristors and moving into actually putting memristors into practice, I love the idea. I mean, so far in modeling the human brain, I mean, we're running up against a wall in terms of our electronics and the way that we can actually create synapses electronically. I mean, we just can't do it. And possibly with what they're describing here, we might be able to do it with memristors. Memristors might be the key to being able to create a synthetic brain.
You know the best way to create a synthetic brain?
How?
Borrow one.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I have a feeling that down the road, eventually, we're going to get more biological on our resistors, on our transistors, and all of that way that we create computer programs, and we're just going to get closer and closer and closer until we finally realize, oh, what we're doing is building neurons.
Yes.
And the memristors are ways off from that. I mean, they're a far ways, but I can see where it's like, this is our mechanical stuff's getting closer and closer. And then eventually we're going to come up with some biological compound that does the same thing as a memristor. Because they're already talking about all kinds of biological computers.
Right. But I don't know that, I think it's the question of whether or not it's the biological computer that's going to end up being the brain analog, or if it's going to actually be something like Memristors combined with chips that are actually not silicon, but based on other materials that we haven't even developed yet.
Yeah.
So maybe there are other materials that are down the line, maybe not biological, but just that have different properties that allow them to act in a way that we haven't even really considered yet.
It's like you got your traditional silicon with the whole Memristors thing here. And then over here you got the DNA computing.
Right.
And then over here you got the quantum computing. And they're all just kind of going to triangulate in on what we're talking about.
That day is going to be so exciting. So exciting.
I hope the singularity happens before then so I can be alive to see it.
I know, right? I know. There's that hope. There's all this exciting stuff going on, and you see things in technology, in science that are kind of moving in a particular direction, and you just, I'd really like to be around when that actually occurs.
When they flip the switch on that one.
Please.
And the computer goes, hello.
Who do I have to beg? Who? Yeah. So anyway, they have this solution using 2 Memristors in series to allow them to reproduce Hebbian type synapse strengthening. And so this Hebbian synapse strengthening is the idea of neurons that fire together, wire together. And so if neurons are doing stuff in synchrony, that's going to make the connection even stronger. And so maybe these 2 Memristors in series, because of the way that they respond to variable inputs, maybe that will affect the kind of wiring together.
It's going to be a while before we get one of those good enough to fly a plane, though, or a space shuttle. Yeah. And for the time being, that means we have to have people with this kind. Yeah. I'm tapping my head.
Seriously.
This kind of thing.
And at this point in time, all we're looking at are two little Memristors connected together in theory. It hasn't actually been done yet.
Yeah.
but people flying
space shuttles?
Space shuttles?
They're not very good. Well, they're actually really good. They're amazing. But 1 and 5 don't meet the standard for what should have happened in the landing, and they think
that's pretty big odds.
They think that's probably because when you get into space, you lose all of your references for up and down, and it causes difficulty when you're trying to land a big space shuttle, right?
Right.
Because when you're trying to dock on the International Space Station, things aren't right and left the way they're supposed to be. You lose a lot of those natural gravitationally induced cues.
Right.
But it's hard to train for that. You can put somebody in a big pool, but you still know where the gravity's coming from. That nerve, the galvanic vestibular stimulation system, the galvanic nerve is still there. It still knows where you're at. And I've given away the lead. Stephen Moore of the Mount Sinai School of Medicine in New York City has led a group that has developed the galvanic vestibular stimulation system to make mission simulations more realistic. It puts a 5 milliamp current behind the ears and totally takes away the vestibular nerve out of the equation.
Yeah.
So you don't
know
any longer which way is right, which way is left. And that way you can train without having your vestibular nerve working. So the way you're going to be flying in space. There's a great video on this Wired article where they show people trying to stand in one place, and then they show them standing in one place with the nerve activations on. You do it on the right side and they kind of lean to the left. They do it on the left side, they lean to the right.
Yeah, this is as a physiologist, this is something that's a well-known, the galvanic vestibular stimulation response is something that's been known for a while, but this is really neat that they're actually putting it into practice in a way that can be used. I mean, if you can train space shuttle pilots, astronauts, if you can train these pilots to be uncoordinated, to be disoriented as they're landing a plane, I mean, how else would you be able to train them? I mean, to be able to put it into practice,
you're saying, just be really good at this, and then once you get up there, remember, this is going to happen. So,
right.
yeah.
You need to be you need to be the best pilot you can possibly be, but then everything you know is going to be taken away from you when you actually try and land.
1 out of 5 actual shuttle landings have been outside the optimal range of touchdown speed and sink rate. And that they think well, when they did the GVS zapping and they did the simulator, they got a similar error rate. So this is a way to correct
accurate.
for that.
Yeah.
Research was funded by
great.
the National Space Biomedical Research Institute. And it's not the first time they've been able to do this. It's not the first ever galvanic nerve stimulator, but it's a small one, and it's got a little pack that you can carry around. It's portable, so they can use it in a lot more situations.
Dude, I can electrocute myself anywhere.
You could just, walk down the street.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't stand up anymore.
Sorry I ran into you. I've just been zapping myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can put it on your friends who have motion sickness and watch them vomit.
That's mean.
That's
you.
Don't do that.
You really want to do that,
This
don't
thing's
you?
a
You're ready.
little more expensive.
In Cincinnati, the University of Cincinnati, researchers are looking at some bugs.
Bugs.
Yeah, bugs with vision problems. I mean, they've got bifocals.
They already have big enough eyes.
Wait,
now we
what?
got to wear bifocals too?
Yeah, well, it turns out they don't have vision problems. This actually may be a vision benefit. These bugs are pretty cool. They're a water bug that turns into a beetle. It's the larva of the sunburst diving beetle, Thermonectis marmoratus. And looking at the larva, researchers discovered that their eyes actually have 2 completely separate focal planes.
So this is built-in bifocal.
Built-in bifocals. It's in the eyes. In the eyes.
Not in the eyes.
In the eyes.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So similar to glasses in the bifocal glasses, in that there are different regions with different thicknesses of the lens that are set up for different distance or close vision purposes. But this is in the eyes.
Now, how does this relate to flies, which don't they have like millions of facets in their eye? Is that
right? So that's a compound eye. I wonder. The compound eye. So they have all the different lenses that end up culminating in a single, field of vision. But in this case, it's probably just the 2 lenses. So in terms of, it's not compound, but it is compound in a much reduced sense. And the compound in like the fly eye, everything is the same from each lens. Whereas
what you're saying is these larvae have options.
Options
that the flies don't.
Yeah, and they can actually, these larvae, which this is going to make everybody very happy, feed on mosquito larvae.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Larva violence.
Yeah, when these larvae are going after the mosquito larvae, maybe from a distance, they need good distance vision, but when then they're going in for the attack, they need to be able to see something close up for, particular attack reasons. It's like you're going in for a punch, and then all of a sudden you put on your glasses. Oh yeah, I gotcha.
Whoa, where are you?
Yeah, so this is the first time that this has been seen in nature. That what they're calling truly bifocal lenses, and what I think is really great, with coming from the grad school environment myself, the lead author on this study is a grad student. It was her first research project, she says, and she's serious. She says, I seriously thought I made a mistake, and then we did additional research to try and kill the hypothesis. But it didn't work. They just kept amassing more and more evidence that, indeed, these little larvae had bifocals.
See, that's science, folks. And I know most of the people listening to this show already know that. But that's what you do. Yep. You're like, wait a minute. This result's unexpected. Let's make sure that we didn't mess up somehow.
Did I mess up?
Let's keep going until after a certain point you go, you know what? We didn't mess up at all. We just found something new. And that's as exciting as finding what you wanted to find in the first place.
Yep. Very exciting. And so they're excited about this. The sad thing for the little larva is that when it metamorphoses and turns into a beetle, loses the bifocals.
So it's the opposite of humans. We get our bifocals later in life. They get their bifocals as young guns.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Ah, yes. Well, how about a way to reset your body clock? You ever got jet lag?
Yes.
How bad? Really bad?
Pretty bad.
Pretty bad jet lag?
Yeah.
Well, all you need is to pop yourself a little pill full of casein kinase 1.
Oh, really?
Reset that body right back.
That sounds so simple.
That's all you got to do.
What?
Professor Andrew Loudon of Manchester University said that they've discovered they can control one of the key molecules involved in setting the speed at which your bodily clock ticks and can actually kick it into a new rhythm. He says the clock mechanism ticks once per day. If you imagine each tick is represented by the rise and fall of a wave over a 24-hour period, as you go up, there's an increase in the amount of proteins in the cell that are part of the clock mechanism. And as you go down, these substances are degraded and reduce again. What casein kinase 1 does is to facilitate the degradation part. So faster casein kinase 1 works, steeper the downward part of the wave, faster the clock ticks. Any change in that activity, faster or slower, can adjust the ticking from 24 hours to some other time period.
Interesting. So you could actually boost your casein kinase 1 activity by taking a pill and then actually shift your clock.
Yeah, or you could reduce. You could do something to remove it, and then you could extend that. You know, you could speed up the degradation. You could slow down the degradation. This could be good for people in space, where you have no, you're seeing the sun every couple hours when you're orbiting.
Right.
This could help, get you on a normal
Your body clock is like every couple of hours, every 20 minutes.
Colonists on the moon or Mars at some point could use this. And in a more immediate future, they say that it could include treatment for psychiatric diseases and circadian sleep disorders.
Interesting. So far, they've only done this to a mouse. They've actually used this successfully to shift the clock in a mouse.
Right.
But
that's the first step.
Step one,
if it works on the mouse,
move to people.
Now go get some FDA approval.
Right.
And call us in 5 years when you finally got your first trial test.
Yeah, so at least 5 years before we start hearing anything new about this.
Yeah.
But we can be excited
still,
for the future.
As somebody who's, I've definitely get the jet lag to a certain extent.
Yeah.
It depends on what direction you go. You've noticed that, right? But also, I've had sleep problems in the past. Don't have them anymore, but I could see where, this could help if you're on weird job shifts. That's usually when I had it, when I worked like weird hours.
Right.
This could help reset you from that. That would have been amazing if I was like, oh, if I could, actually work 4 to 8 in the morning and sleep normally.
Yeah, there's something like this could have just countless applications. I am certain, because people just really, they want to abuse their sleep system and their body clocks.
We need to.
We need to, because we're people.
For progress.
Ah.
We need to work late nights and stay up late drinking and go explore the moon.
Yeah, work hard, play hard, everything hard.
And there's also certain psychological diseases. Some depressions have to do with improper circadian rhythms and that. So it's not all just work hard, play hard.
True, it's very true. Are you cooperative?
Pretty cooperative, yeah.
Maybe you're monogamous.
I'm pretty monogamous too, yeah.
Yeah.
You got me nailed. It's like you know me.
I got it. Awesome. And it was all from a study about birds.
Wait, what? I'm not a bird.
But you, in some ways, act a little bit like them. Some researchers from Oxford, just like that. Act very birdish. You have bird-like traits.
Eat like a bird.
Yeah. Some researchers from Oxford decided that we have to figure this out. Do birds who cooperate more are they more monogamous? Or do they cheat just as much as birds that are less cooperative? with each other.
So if I got this right, the idea is if everybody in your little bird pack is honest and monogamous, then you know that all the offspring come from your family and you want to take care of them because that keeps your genes going, right?
Yes.
But if somebody goes off and cheats, then all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute, whose bird baby are we taking care of?
Right. Who am I taking care of? Why would I want to take care of them? So there are a couple of factors in the literature that the researchers hit upon that were really essential to this whole idea and what they ended up figuring out. And they involve kin recognition, so how well a particular species recognizes their relatives. And additionally, what was the other thing? And evolutionary history. So have they been cooperative in the past? Have they been promiscuous? How is their kind of family tree evolved?
Right, because if you're a cooperative species and you're also promiscuous, things ain't gonna stay like that.
That's exactly right. And so what they're finding is that this promiscuity and cooperation and lack of cooperation, that this has all kind of gone hand in hand and appeared and disappeared from lineages over many, many, many years. So they're looking at species now and saying, okay, right, like you said, cooperative and promiscuous, probably not going to be cooperative for all that long. So the actual behavior might actually change.
As long as you can use kin recognition to make sure you're taking care of the right offsprings.
Yes.
You can tolerate a little promiscuity.
Yeah, but there you go being human again with like our ability to rationalize whatever.
Yeah.
What do I feel like today?
We're much more flexible in our social arrangements than birds.
Yes.
Yeah. Flexible and erratic.
Erratic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an appropriate word, definitely. But anyway, yeah. If you could be like a bird, could be not.
I'm like a bird.
Tom's like a bird.
I want to fly away. You know why they call me Tommy Two Hands?
I didn't know they called you that at all.
Because I got two hands.
That's good.
And
so do I, but
so does a patient of Kleinert Kutz and Associates. Dr. Joseph Kutz, a surgeon called Dr. Kutz.
My dentist growing up, Dr. Haller. I mean, seriously, I should be going to this surgeon.
Not my eye doctor, but eye doctor in the Sunset District of San Francisco, Dr. C.
Perfect.
Yeah. It's like Bob Price on the Money Watch. But anyway, Dr. Joseph E. Kutz is a hand surgeon, and he performed some experimental surgery at Jewish Hospital Hand Care Center. I believe this is near Louisville, Kentucky. It is the third double hand transplant. There have been 2 done in Pittsburgh. This is the third. Took about 17 and a half hours. What's different about this one is the patient hadn't lost their hands. So I mean, crazy enough, right? It's a hand transplant. You're putting somebody else's hands on the end of my arms. What had happened with this patient is they had serious burns, and so they'd lost the use of their hands and the sensitivity of their hands.
Okay.
But they were able to take off the hands, leave the nerves, the original nerves stayed, and then they wrapped the new hands around the nerves and hooked up the skeletal structure back to the bone. Yeah, that's right. Try doing that twice.
Yeah, and so next time what they're going to do is they're going to incorporate a gaming glove into this.
The surgery took 17 and a half hours. Apparently, they Twittered updates throughout the entire surgery.
Wow.
To keep the family and interested parties, because this is, landmark surgery, up to date. The surgeons worked in shifts, so they'd kind of spell each other so that nobody got too tired, and they were able to actually successfully transplant hands and preserve the original nerves.
That's amazing.
The next 24 to 48 hours are critical. There obviously is a chance for infections, rejection, blockage of blood supply, all of that. The patient will have to take anti-rejection medicine for the rest of their life, so they don't reject their own hands.
That would be so sad. I reject my hands.
My hands are rejecting me.
Oh, man.
But yeah, the patient wanted to do the surgery because there's a quote, I'd rather have an amputation than to continue to live this way. They're like, look, I'd rather lose the hands than have these useless things
on the end of your arms.
So let's give it a go. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, and probably from the burn damage, he probably had pain issues and all sorts of stuff that would be related to it that would make him a very unhappy person. So hopefully this works out and wow, double hand transplant.
Don't hear that often.
Double complete hand transplant. That's right. Another thing you don't hear that often is fossils in Caldecott Tunnel. Wait, what?
What is the Caldecott Tunnel?
Yeah, so for people not in the Bay Area, the Caldecott Tunnel is this tunnel that connects the East Bay with the even further East Bay.
Right. When I lived in Oakland, I would take my car to Walnut Creek for service.
Yes.
And I'd have to go through the Caldecott Tunnel.
Yeah, it's on Highway, what is it, 24?
Yep.
Yes. 24.
I think that's right.
Yes. So anyway, they're doing some digging. It's a construction site, actually. Hopefully they're going to be doing some updating of the Caldecott Tunnel. But they've been doing digging that has brought out fossils. And so paleontologists are really excited about what they're finding. And so far, they found a camel.
They what? Wait, huh? They found a camel? That was not what I was expecting you to say.
Yeah, like an 11 million year old camel.
I was like, well, they found diamonds or a dead body or not. Well, it is a dead body, but
a camel.
It's a camel? Wait, there are no camels. How did the camel get there?
It was a camel. The camels, this camel is 11 million years old, the size of a giraffe.
Are they sure a camel just didn't get away from the Oakland Zoo and wander over to the Caldecott?
Buried. Yeah, I think they're pretty sure about that.
Yeah, if it's the size of a giraffe, it's not a modern day camel.
Not a modern day camel. This is a very old camel ancestor from a period, a very distant geologic period on the planet. And they've also found teeth from these ancient camels and ancient horses, rodent teeth, and a leg bone.
Dun, dun, dun. There's the murder mystery I was looking for. What kind of leg bone? Whose leg bone? Like a human leg bone or a simian leg bone? Or
it doesn't say. It doesn't say.
Was it connected to anything else? We don't know.
Yeah, so I'm excited about this. I mean, this is like
this
in
is
our
cool.
backyard, fossil finds being made that are going to tell us a lot about.
I love archaeology.
Yeah, it's great. Wow.
Caldecott Museum. With all of this stuff in it eventually.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Yeah, that's what I want.
That would be very neat. Maybe it'll be like the La Brea tar pits, but it'll be the Caldecott Museum.
Yeah, maybe it'll
Totally
be tar
different.
pits.
Could be. I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. Wow, we made it through the whole show.
Thanks for tolerating me.
Oh, I wasn't tolerating. I had fun.
Thanks for having me on. I guess Justin's going to be back next week, huh?
Yes, he'll be back. Done with his camping trip, unless, of course, it's like some kind of
Unless he finds himself deep below the Caldecott Tunnel. No.
Yeah, Justin will be back next week, and, of course, there will be tons more science to discuss, so This Week in Science will be back next week. So I'd love to give shout-outs to all the Science Minion homies out there. All my fine fly homies. Tim Beauchamp, thank you for the Caldecott Tunnel story. Ed Dyer, thanks for the one night stand bird story and the bugs with bifocals story. Additionally, I'd also like to thank Jason Pollard, Melissa, and Monkey, and Gord McLeod for sending stuff in. I know I didn't get everybody's stories in this show, but thank you so much for sending stuff in. I love the fact that you're out there looking for science that's interesting and, trying to give to Twis so that we can give back to everyone out there.
Thanks to everyone for listening. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Twist is also available as a podcast. Just search for This Week in Science in iTunes, or if you have one of those fancy Android devices, you can look for the Twiz for Droid app. That's with the number 4, TWIS for Droid, in the Android marketplace.
That's right. And for more information on anything you've heard here today, show notes are going to be available on our website, www.twis.org. We also want to hear from you, so email me at Kirsten, Kirsten, at thisweekinscience.com. Additionally, I really am going to get Justin his email account. I'll fix it. Oh, it's going to be fixed. Don't worry. So you can email him, and he'll get this glut of emails, which I think would be really funny, at Justin, Justin, at thisweekinscience.com. And you can contact us on Twitter at Dr. Kiki or at JacksonFly.
And we love your feedback. If there's a topic you would like us to cover or address or a suggestion for an interview, let us know.
That's right. And like I said, we're going to be back here next week, and we do hope that you will join us again for more great science news.
And if you've learned anything from this show, remember,
it's all in your head.
I've got the kind of mind I can't get enough. I want to learn everything. I want to fill it all up with new discoveries that happen every day of the week. There's only one place to go to find the knowledge I seek. I want to know what's happening. What's happening? What's happening this week in science? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening this week in science?
yay! Thanks for letting me do the show. That was really fun.
You're welcome. This was fun.